this is welcome to another episode of Dusty Souls, and this is Chinga Pan on Sangha Wildlife Conservancy. Now, I'm still battling to find the hyenas at the moment. They're not denning fully. The young cubs are big enough to be quite mobile, so I don't find them every day, every night. It's quite demoralizing that I'm not seeing my friends regularly. So I came down to Chinga Pan to see what's happening here. And this is quite a big pan on Sangha. It's probably about 1 kilometer long by half a kilometer wide. And this pool here that I'm flying over now, this pool is the last pool that remains on Chinga in the dry season. Everything dries up, and this is the pool. You might have seen footage of us wallowing. We wallow in here, but this pool is full. It's everything else dries up. So beyond this pool, all that other water you see there is very shallow, and so that obviously dries up first. We've had a great rainy season, so the water is still here. It's going to be here for a while still, which is fantastic. But as the water in surrounding areas dries up, all the birds start concentrating down here at Chinga, and it's quite a spectacle. These are black-headed herons feeding in this little aquatic stuff that's now drying up as the water's receding. I just wish my spotties would come here, but this is far from where they generally operate. What would they do in this water? Of course, there's lots of crocodiles here. You would have seen the one earlier. Especially in the deeper water, there's plenty of crocodiles. Now, I love to fly over here to see all this incredible bird life. Unfortunately, when I first fly over, the birds are a little bit spooked by me, but then they calm down. So you'll see here initially they fly off. Now, these birds are all white-faced ducks, and there's probably a couple of thousand of them here. And they've all come to, some of them would have bred here. So in the reeds, you look right at the top there where those ones are flying, there are reed beds there, and they nest in those reed beds, just on the ground in a shallow nest. But they're also feeding here now. Their main feeding times are dawn and dusk. But look at all these birds. I mean, it's unbelievable how many there are. At dawn and dusk, their main activity period of feeding. And what they're feeding on here is, they're generally feeding on aquatic plants. Look at all those birds. I mean, they're just so many. So they're feeding mainly on aquatic plants. There's a lot of water lilies that grow here. Doesn't look like it now because a lot has been eaten, but they grow here, and then these ducks are feeding on the tubers of these water lilies. They also consume, they're basically herbivorous, but they do consume the odd aquatic invertebrates like mollusks and crustaceans, sometimes insects. And they're also obviously eating seeds. So these guys, I mean, right now they're basically just chilling in the waters. And as I say, these waters are quite shallow. You can see the stalk on the left there, standing on a little tuft of island, if you want to call it that. just sit back and enjoy watching the spectacle of birds. It's quite insane. There are so many of them. I mentioned their name. It's a white-faced duck. It's actually the white-faced whistling duck, and they have this whistle. Okay, bad imitation, but it's a whistle like that. And they do have a very white face, which you're not seeing here because the light is on the other side. So their faces are in the shadow at the moment. This bigger bird we're coming up to now on the right, it's a spurwing goose. Sometimes they come here in big flocks as well, but that's usually later in the season when the water's dried up everywhere else. There are a couple more spurwing on this island in the middle. And there next to the spurwing is an open bill stork. They feed mainly on mollusks, and there are a lot of bilharzia mollusks in here. When I say bilharzia ones, they're ones that carry the disease bilharzia. It's a waterborne disease which it's not too bad to have, but it's Yeah, it causes bleeding in your bladder and that sort of thing. But a complication of bilharzia with other illnesses can be quite fatal, and was actually what my dad died from. He had bilharzia and emphysema. So these are the reed beds where these ducks will breed in summer. We're now in the middle of winter, but in summer they'll be breeding in these grassy reeds. These ducks are everywhere, and you can imagine at dawn and dusk sometimes when they all come in from where they've been feeding elsewhere, or they're all going off, and just these huge flocks of ducks taking off into those lovely golden morning skies or evening skies. It really is spectacular. That's a sacred ibis, the white and black bird that's just come and landed in there. They sometimes occur here in big numbers as well. And you'll see some trees in the reeds there to the right. Those trees in summer are full of birds nesting, of white-faced ducks. No, cancel. They're full of herons, open-bill storks, cattle egrets, all these guys nesting here. Trees are heavily laden with all these birds. Those are the white flowers of the water lilies. Sacred ibis taking off there. Now you can see the nice faces on these ducks. I'm flying around from the other side. You can see their very white faces. Very pretty birds when you see them up close. Now look at this here. There's a baboon in this water. Now there are crocodiles in here by the plenty, and yet this baboon is feeding. There's a couple of them you can see, one on the right, one on the left, and this guy in the middle. And you see what he's feeding on? He's pulling up the tubers of the water lilies, and they eat that. They're actually quite nice to eat. People eat them. But look at that water. This guy's in deep water, and he's just plenty crocodiles in here. But there's quite a few baboons out there. I'm so surprised that these guys are feeding in these waters. See the white lily pads? So those have a stem that goes down, sometimes can go down a meter or so, to this tuber that grows obviously in the soil there. And that's what the baboons are pulling up. And when you get a whole troop of baboons in here, they can eat a lot of these water lily rhizomes, but only at this time of year when things are drying up everywhere else. It's quite a nutritious and good source of food for them. But look at this guy standing in the middle of this water, I'm flabbergasted because there are plenty of crocodiles here. And these guys all know that, so they know how to work around it. But, maybe because the water is shallow, they are a bit safer, but yeah, I think, and sometimes you can see whole troops of baboons in the water, and you'd think that a croc just lying low underwater there would just wait until one came by. It should be easy. Maybe it's not so easy. Look at this guy nonchalantly just doing his thing here. He owns this place. And no doubt if there were any birds nesting here now, they would, their chicks would be eaten by the baboons, the eggs and things. But they're usually nesting in summer when the water's a lot deeper, so not really a problem. Oh, there's 2 baboons in there. Hiding behind the reeds. Bob Jan. And some of these little islands of grass here, you'll find crooks lying on them. So these guys definitely, well, I say they know what they're doing, but maybe some of them do get taken by crocodiles. Look at that open bull stalk behind the baboon. They're just probing away for mollusks. And they've got that bull that can crunch the mollusks and swallow them. Look at this baboon. He's playing. You can't see me. He's playing peekaboo. Oh, that was it. Hey, I can see you. Off he goes. Look at all these ducks. More and more and more. They are thousands of it. There's 2 spurwing geese there amongst the white-faced ducks. I wouldn't mind walking in those shallows, but just to discover all the little things in there, but not with these crocs. There's just no way. So this is also another tree that's full of nesting birds in summer. Some sacred ibis here, some black-headed herons on the top of the tree there. Oh, and that looks like a little jacana on the right. There's some some knob-billed ducks, the whiter ones. These little flowers, another type of water lily. Not the one with the big flat leaves, round flat leaves. The sacred ibis is taken off there. So the black-headed herons here are feeding on little frogs and insects and things that live in these little aquatic plants that are drying up. They'll also catch little fish and stuff sometimes too in the deeper waters, but that's usually when things are drying up and the fish are more concentrated. My goodness, look at all these crocodiles. These crocodiles are here, but they're on this deep pond where there's a lot of catfish and stuff that they're actually feeding on. But they could be in those shallows, and there's just no ways I'd go walking in there like those baboons. But look at all these crocodiles, and these are not small crocs, they are huge. Look at the size of this one lying here, looking to the right there. I mean, that is one huge crocodile. Oh, sorry guys. I really didn't want to disturb them like that. Well, what an interesting... I can't believe what really flabbergasted me was all those baboons just foraging in the water like that. Absolutely insane, with all these crocodiles. And then that one playing peekaboo. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. It's something different. Just shows you what other life we have here. Oh, there's a yellow-billed stork on the right there and a few behind. But I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully next Dusty Souls we'll be back with the spotties if I can find them. They really are proving to be rather evasive. Well, and until next time, and to spotty time, and probably why the spotties don't come here is all these crocodiles.
Oh.